Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Pixie. I hope you had a good weekend. I know that this was supposed to be up on Sunday, but yeah, I'm not gonna go into how crazy my life has been. So today we start in the seas. We are in California, and we're hanging out with something called the Dark Watchers. This is apparently folklore, so you can take it with a bit of salt if you like. Has apparently been observing travelers along the Santa Lucia Mountains. It's actually not one creature, it's supposed to be a group of entities. So apparently, a bunch of things come together and watch people as they walk through the mountains. Um, these they come at twilight and they are known as the Dark Watchers. They are shady, sometimes 10 feet tall, and they're men bedecked in sinister hats and capes. So I try to give you guys pictures first. And this is basically what they look like. They look like big, long, tall people with glowy eyes. Um, as you can see, some of them get like really weird pictures of them, or they get really clear ones. Now, they usually come in groups like that one, so I don't know why they usually have them in different things. I don't know what Mark James Miller. Have you seen The Dark Watcher? He's the guy who wrote about them. So there's a bunch of things here that show them off. And basically what they are, from about Avila Beach through San Luis Obispo and all the way up to Monterey runs the Santa Lucia Mountains. Lurking within these mountains are the strange and mystifying Dark Watchers. They are apparently giant human-like phantoms that are seen only at twilight, standing silhouetted against the night sky along the ridges and peaks of the mountain range. When spotted, the beings are usually seen staring off into the open air of the mountains, seemingly at nothing in particular. Which is interesting, because the last one said that they were watching people. No one knows what the Watchers are, where they come from, or why they're there, again lost in speculation. And what they are looking for, or watching, is beyond anyone's current comprehension. The Chumash Indians, which I didn't get a picture of or look them up, sorry, first spoke of them in legends, and their cave painters drew them in their colorful drawings. The Spanish, back in the 1700s, called them Vigilante Oscuros. Now, I thought this was interesting, so I'll talk about this before I go further. There are these two people, John Steinbeck, who wrote a book in 1938, wrote a little thing called The Long Valley. It's a collection of 12 short stories. It's really old. I don't know if you'll find it. It's apparently the author of Mice and Men. Excuse me. And it says, Pepe looked up to the top of the next dry-withered ridge. He saw a dark form against the sky, a man's figure standing on top of a rock, and he glanced away quickly, not to appear curious. When a moment later he looked up again, the figure was gone. So nobody knows if he's talking about the Watchers or not, but that's pretty interesting that it shows up in a book. And Such Counsels You Gave to Me in Other Poems by Robinson Jeffers is another one that was thought to be talking about the Watchers. Now, this is just speculation. Nobody actually knows. But he thought it might be one of the Watchers, who are often seen in the length of Coast Range, forms that look human to human eyes, but certainly are not human. They come from behind ridges to watch. He was not surprised when the figure turning toward him in the quiet twilight showed his own face. Then it melted and merged into the shadows beyond it. And it says that there was somebody Steinbeck's mother, who was Olive Hamilton, was a firm believer in the Dark Watchers, and she supposedly brought them gifts of fruit, nuts, and occasionally flowers. Many local families who resided in Big Sur a long time ago also fully believe in the legends of the Dark Watchers. So they've probably been seen quite a bit up here in the mountains. Try to show pictures of the range. Here they are. This is the Santa Lucia range. Looks very pretty. This is in California, so it's a mountain range, so there's probably snow on them at some point, but yeah, see, there's snow in that picture. Look how pretty it is, though. So that's the mountain range of Santa Lucia, where these watchers are supposedly at. So then we have, this is live science, which I thought was cool. And this is something that they wrote about it in March of 2021. So these things are obviously still being seen. Enormous shadowy figures in hats and cloaks have haunted the California coast for more than 300 years. This thing is cool. This actually explains what that picture is. I know I showed it earlier. It says a photo showing the broken specter. And if you get closer, you can see that his legs are kind of split. An optical illusion that occurs when a figure's shadow looms enormous and glowing on a backdrop of a cloud. So that's pretty cool. They primarily appear in the afternoon, and according to a recent article in sfgate.com, visitors to California have seen them perched ominously on the mountaintops for more than 300 years. Play sound.
Gone the next. Locals call them the Dark Watchers, and recorded sightings date back at least 300 years. The American writer John Steinbeck described them in a 1938 short story, saying, "No one knew who the Watchers were nor where they lived, but it was better to ignore them." Steinbeck's son Thomas.
It said to ignore them and to never show interest in them, so I don't know why not. I haven't gotten into them yet. I haven't seen why you're not allowed to show interest in them. A lot of people say that they're merely figments of pattern-seeking minds, or a classic case of pareidolia, a psychological phenomenon in which an observer's brain finds patterns or significance in a vague or random image. So, I mean, it could be that, but 300 years of sightings seems to me a little bit weird. Like, that's many people who are seeing these things. There's another one. I like that picture, but it's still a lone figure. A group of mysterious, dark, human-like creatures who stand in the hills, ridges, and peaks of Santa Lucia Mountains. They supposedly watch those who wander into the mountains and are not aggressive. They are most often spotted around twilight and are usually seen staring upwards toward the sky while standing atop the mountains. So that's what they're showing them staring off into the mountains. They seem to be some sort of spirits, however their origins are not currently known. Here's one. This is interesting. This is a comment down below from Chansands on 7/30/2020. They are real and they serve the purpose of defending the lost world of curled tooth mammoths. Not right now, I'm doing a YouTube video, Dad. Large cats and bipedal lizards deep below the Santa Lucia range. I'll be done in like 10 minutes. Here's one here that says, "Am I the only one who would probably get lost in the mountains and walk up to one to ask for directions? By the way, why has no one walked up to one?" That's actually a good question. Here we are. Somebody from 6/28/2018. "I've seen beings like this in forests in England. I dubbed them the Watchers before I knew they were a thing. They didn't feel malevolent or anything like that. I just got the impression they were observing. They appeared elongated, as if they were shadows of people, but nobody was casting them." So that seems pretty cool. I had a couple of things. What? Thank you for visiting the new fandom. Oh. Just ignore that. Okay, so just the same thing, probably. That seems to be what we're getting. They were known as Los Vigilante Oscuros from the 18th century Spanish. Modern science has suggested that the Dark Watchers might simply be the result of hallucination. That's a lot of people hallucinating. Sorry, science. That's a lot of people hallucinating. That's pretty. Look at that picture. Basically the same things. Here we go. Folklore warns that while the Dark Watchers make it their mission to sternly observe those in the mountains below, it is wisest to turn away, as those who dare to approach these figures vanished into oblivion. So that's why you're not supposed to look at them and show interest or approach them. It's because they like take you somewhere. Like many of the other California writers, Steinbeck grew up on stories of the Dark Watchers. His own mother told him how she would bring food to the mountains as an offering to the creatures, only to later see flowers in their place. So something had to have been doing that. But I'm not going to get too crazy. I'm already at 11 minutes. Here's a video. This one's 1 minute. I think this is one that we had already watched.
They appear in the late afternoon when the sun sets toward the Pacific Ocean. Enormous, shadowy figures, some in hats and cloaks, looming atop California's Santa Lucia mountains. There 1 minute, gone the next. Locals call them the Dark Watchers, and recorded sightings date back at least 300 years. The American writer John Steinbeck described them in a 1938 short story, saying, "No one knew who the Watchers were nor where they lived, but it was better to ignore them." Steinbeck's son Thomas didn't get the memo. He wrote an entire book about the Watchers in 2014. So what are these infamous figures besides the stuff of legend? One explanation writes them off as a trick of the mind, a phenomenon called pareidolia, where the brain finds familiar patterns in vague or random images. The phenomenon explains why some people see faces on the moon, or the Virgin Mary in burnt toast. Perhaps the Watchers are just trees or cactuses that our brains interpret as shadowy humans.
Basically the same thing that I was saying. This is from Live Science. This one's from the Santa Lucia Lucida Mountains. 5 days ago. Oh, that was from the Realm of Unknown. So this is the Realm of Unknowns. I'm not going to get too crazy in here because we're already at 13 minutes, but...
So my apologies, but today's actually going to be a much shorter episode. I'm recording this after the fact and realizing how quick I ran through this. I did not expect that this story would be so small, but it was interesting to me, so I hope you guys do enjoy.
That. If you look at the bottom, it's just... He's just going to go like that all the way through it. So we're not going to watch that. We'll die of boredom. I mean, it's probably not boring. You can look it up. It's Ep 2, The Dark Watchers of California by Realm of Unknown. And he seems pretty cool, so I might subscribe to him just to see what he's got to say. It's a podcast. New episodes every Saturday. YouTube upload 3 days after. So if you like what I'm doing, you'll probably enjoy what he's doing. So I'll just like and subscribe to him real fast. And then we got Facebook, which is what I usually do last. As you know, I try to go through and look to see if there's any actual group about this. So I looked through it and I didn't find anything. There's, I thought this was weird, Southern California Whale Watchers came up. Something about craftsy art, which is actually kind of cute and creepy at the same time. Look at the little, it looks kind of like Maleficent. But those are diamond paintings. Okay. We have Dark Waters, Dark H2O official fan group. Nocturnal Dispatchers, Life in the Dark. The Dark Web. I could tell you what the Dark Web is, but you can figure that out on your own. I don't want to educate people on that. But if you're interested, there's a website here on Facebook that will apparently tell you what it is. It's a very bad place. I wouldn't recommend it. There's birding in birding in Florida, which has nothing to do with California, and Gulf Coast predator catchers. We are an organization that sets up undercover stings to catch adults who lure, must be kids, into something. So that sounds interesting to look into. But these people save lives. That is really cool. I won't get too much into that. So, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, feel free to look them up. Called Gulf Coast Predator Catchers. They have 12,000 members. That's pretty cool. So there's nothing in here about the Dark Watchers. So, here's one. Dark Watchers have been spooking California hikers for centuries. What are they? And that was posted August 18th by Unhinged Mysteries, which has 44 followers. But anyway, guys, that's it. That's all about the Dark Watchers. We're into the seas now. So stay tuned for preferably next Sunday. Well, this upcoming Sunday, I guess I should say. For Colorado, which is the Slide Rock Bolter. If you have a monster or something that you want me to look into, why did I spell that like that? Feel free to type it and let me know, guys. As I go, I'm finding things that I might look into anyway. While I was looking up the Dark Watchers, I found a whole bunch of other things in California. The Billywhack Monster, the Charman, Elsie, Lone Pipe Mountain Devil, Penelope, Monster of the Sierra Nevada, and Santa Cruz Sea Monster. So, as you can see, I've got quite a list going here. So, if you're into that kind of thing, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week to talk about the Slide Rock Bolter, guys. Have a great week. Bye!